Well, against all odds, it happened. Somehow Bubsy returned. But how exactly does Bubsy 4D stand, especially with the rest of its series in consideration? I didn't really come into a Bubsy game with incredibly high expectations regarding its narrative, or really any expectations for that matter, and I guess it delivered on that front. The story is pretty bare bones and as much of a background thing as it can get. Bubsy is chilling in his home when a new faction of enemies, the Babots, take the Golden Fleece. You can't do that, Kratos needs it to parry attacks. Then Bubsy and his family, I guess, take a spaceship to the Babots' planets and go forth to take the Golden Fleece back. Again, it's very bare bones, but it's almost a moot point because who cares about lore in a Bubsy game? What's more important in these games is its humor. This game is really only funny if you like meta humor, which isn't a bad thing. I like meta humor, but instead of referencing pop culture or video games or whatever else the other Bubsy games did, Bubsy 4D instead makes jabs at its own series, and specifically Bubsy 3D a lot.
I'm Bubsy. You must have heard of me. B-list celebrity extraordinaire.
Never heard of you.
Which, yes, is justified. This series is not good, but I do think it gets old after a while. It's like one comedian telling the same joke for an hour-long sketch. You eventually just get tired. But I'll say, this is the one time it makes sense because this is supposed to be Bubsy past his prime, so naturally he'd make snarky quips like this that just fall flat. But in defense of the game, playing the Bubsy 3D game over explosion when you die with that skitty quip was really funny the first time. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, but I'm having fun with a Bubsy game. On its own, it doesn't really do anything outstanding. It's a collectathon. You collect yarn balls, a blueprint, and a golden fleece at the end of every level. You can buy skins with the yarn balls or acquire new abilities with the blueprints. The game also kind of controls like Mario Odyssey, being simple on the surface, but having in-depth movement tech that rewards skill and precise timing. You have a basic jump, flutter jump, roll, and attack, but you can combine these and the in-game physics to travel great distances in seconds. This leads me to my second point. The game encourages playing through each level twice. The first time is going to be your collecting run, where you grab everything you can before leaving. Then you'll get a timer on your screen, and at this point the game will encourage you to speedrun the level. You'll get rewarded trophies if you beat it under the time limit, and you can compare yourself to the leaderboards. So there's two aspects to Bubsy 4D, the collecting and the speedrunning. These two approaches to the levels gives the game some much needed replayability given its length. As I alluded to just a few seconds ago, the game is really short. 3 hours is the length of an average playthrough. I am very conflicted about this. On one hand, I understand the short length. This is Bubsy's first mainline 3D game in 30 years, and it was outsourced to a small indie studio. I can see Atari and Fabras not wanting to take many risks with this game in case it was another stinker. On the other hand, I would have liked to see more from this game. Part of it is me seeing other indie games with similar price tags have multiple hours of content, and especially with having completed Hades 2 recently. The other thing is, I just really like platformers, and especially 3D platformers. I haven't been able to play many of them, but I've really enjoyed the ones that I've played. I just would have liked to experience as much of this game as I could, especially given it prioritizes movement tech. In regards to the level design, I'm also conflicted on this. To start, I actually do like the art direction this game has. Bubsy especially feels like a natural evolution of this specific kind of character. His first ever iteration is obviously inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog being an anthropomorphic animal, but having the expressions of a wisecracking character. And then his newest, visibly older design is a Bubsy past his prime, assuming he ever had a prime. Unfortunately, my praises don't carry over to the level's art direction. The platforms have no real rhyme or reason and look like they serve specifically as tools for Bubsy, as opposed to an actual world the Woolies and Babots inhabit, but at least the actual design of the worlds have a consistent theme and stick with them. World 1 is focused on wool and yarn, World 2 about stationery, and World 3 about technology. But again, these just play like a sandbox and they look out of place. I do understand this is kind of a moot point. Clearly the movement was the most important part of this game, and it's not too substantial of a deal to dock off points, but the best platformers have platforms, hazards, and enemies seamlessly blend into each other to create a fully immersive experience. I just wish this game had that. Bubsy 4D is the perfect second chance nobody asked for. On its own, it doesn't do much that deserves praise, but it is a step in the right direction for the Bubsy series. Who knows, maybe in the future there will be a time when this Bobcat isn't a laughingstock. Bubsy 4D is available on PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One and Series, Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, and PC via Steam, the Epic Game Store, and GOG.com. The game costs $19.99 and does not have any sort of digital deluxe edition.